I kept going, and it went from a once a month to a once a week to a 16 events per month. And now we're the largest Amazon seller meetup group in the world.
You choose the strategy of like the blue ocean.
Something that I thought would be more advanced, but it's something that I don't think people should ignore, is voice technology.
Welcome to Dr. Amazon Podcast, the emergency support channel for FBA private label sellers. We invite top Amazon experts to share the most efficient tips and tricks for your businesses. My name is Vitaly Hizhniak and I am the CGO of Profit Whales. And let's get started. You must be a part of the business community. Yes, I mean it, because that gives you an access to new tips and tricks, actionable knowledge and partnership. That could help you to find answers on all your questions: how to boost sales, how to increase the efficiency, or build brand awareness for your brand. More insights about the networking and communities in the Amazon world we will know from our expert in this topic, Carlos Alvarez.
Welcome to the Dr. Amazon podcast. Today we have an amazing guest, a superstar of e-commerce community, founder and CMO at Wizards Ecom, Carlos Alvarez. Hi, Carlos. Nice to meet you.
Vitaly, how are you? We chatted a second ago, and you've presented two amazing presentations to my group, and now the roles are reversed.
Yeah, and I really like that because as I think it's not so like typical for you because you have a lot of guests you every time do as a host. And today, let's see. I know that you have a lot of things to discuss, a lot of things to describe and to share your experience. And I'm really excited to have it and to understand that.
Awesome. I'm blessed to be on the show, and you're an amazing person in this Amazon community as well. So I feel very honored to be on the show. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So today I would like to discuss the topic of networking and the business communities as a general thing. But let's start with your personal success story. You have 20 years of experience in online sales. Do you remember when you have launched your first product? And maybe you do remember your first mistakes?
Absolutely. Well, my first ever product actually sold. I don't remember what it is. I do know that it was at a time when I was with what I like to describe as my expensive ex-girlfriend. And it was some random thing that I found that I was able to sell on eBay. However, that did addict me. I became addicted to the process of selling online, but it was all eBay back then. The first brand I started, I don't know I previously started and exited a live insect business, and I struggle to call that a brand, although it was. The first physical product brand that I started was like Whiskey Stones, beverage chilling devices, which again, blessed to have exited. We started it right after I sold the insect business. So we're talking about 13 to 15 years ago. First mistakes that I made. Oh gosh. I ignored, I don't want to say that I had bad business partners. I'm sure they would say the same thing about me. I could say this, I didn't understand what went into having a business partner, and that it required more than just we enjoy the same type of cigars and we're dating people that know each other, or we like the same movies. And I also didn't realize that I was getting partners to really cover a lack of confidence that I had. I didn't understand the concept of I could hire somebody. So I would say those are some of the first mistakes major mistakes that I made.
Yeah, I really like that because I guess now people also faced with the same mistakes in this way. I mean, when you start launching any of your like businesses, it's so typical in the case of the business partner. Yeah, so it's fair enough. And when you have begin like 13 or 15 years ago, do you have a chance to reach any community maybe, or many group of people that do something the same and got a chance to share this experience, yeah, before you have created your own?
No, there was, I looked a little bit online, but there was nothing. So mind you, we're talking about 16, 17. I went full time 15 years ago, about 15 years ago on Amazon. So we're talking 16, 17, 18 years ago. No, I don't believe there was any Facebook groups. There wasn't anything like that that existed. And I think everybody's blessed to have that now. But it sort of cuts both ways. I feel like I don't want to sound like the person that's saying, "Oh, I walked to school barefoot 4 miles and back and I'm, tougher than you." But in reality, not having all of that also forced me to fail fast and forward and learn from my mistakes and grow into the seller I am today. There are a lot of things, though, that I wish I had an in-person community or an online community to just ask a quick question like, "Hey, what do I need for VAT in Canada?" Or just what is PPC? Is it worth it? I mean, PPC didn't even exist when I started on Amazon. So it would have been nice to have those questions. There wasn't any of that when I started.
Could you please tell me when you got this idea on creating your own community, yeah, and creating the Wizards of Amazon, like the concept of this community and group, when you have begun that?
I started the group. Well, I wasn't one of the first people to start a group. I was participating in a lot of, online Facebook communities, which are amazing, especially, FBA high rollers with the AM/PM podcast and all of them. They have several great groups now. That's where there, and as well as the Amazing Seller with Scott Volker. Those are the groups that I congregated at. And as a seller wanting to build community, I wouldn't say compete, but I feel like you always see a community and you're like, wow, if I had a community, I would do this differently. And I always had that in mind. And I'm also just somebody that amongst my physical product businesses, I've always built communities to support and grow those businesses, like those tribes. So when I saw this, I was like, man, if you create a Facebook group in the Amazon space, it's almost like you're planting a flag. And many people see it as, well, if you're not in my group and you have your own group, then you're the competition. And I've never looked at it like that. Like any of my communities, I've never been like that. I'm the type of person that if I have a lemonade stand and you come by and you see it, and then like a week later, I happen to see you selling lemonades at your own lemonade stand, I don't see you as competition. I see you as like, let's get together, let's pool our resources, and let's team buy these lemons and see if we get better rates. So, but I know that's not how most people do it. And I also have a business mind. So looking at the business side of building a community, which is a very real one. And I think a lot of people fail in building a community because they don't realize there's so many moving parts to a successful community that you have to approach it as a business. It doesn't make you an evil person, but I also am a big believer on the business side of blue ocean strategy. So if for anyone not familiar with the book, red ocean is really the state of Facebook groups in our community right now. It's like you've been selling for a week, you have a Facebook group and a course. So let me see. I think I lost. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Everything.
Sorry about that. Okay. So the state of the community seems like a red ocean with Facebook groups now. So I decided like, I'm not going to do this unless I could really add value and do something different. So now we're at this long-winded answer to your question, which is almost 5 years ago now. I was with a group of friends and we had been meeting like once a week or once every other week, started selling on Amazon about the same time for many years. And I decided, I'm going to create a group. And I started a group on meetup.com. And I'm like, I wonder if anyone's interested. I didn't do this like case study. I didn't do any marketing. And let me just create a group on meetup.com. First group, 4 people showed up. there was like of the next 4 or 5 groups events, I think a lot of times nobody showed up. And I would just like take a selfie with people in the background so that I could post it in the group and people there could see like, wow, people are going to this thing. And I kept going, and it went from a once a month to a once a week to a 16 events per month. And now we're the largest Amazon seller meetup group in the world. We actually, during COVID, opened our own physical location. So like we're an e-commerce focused group, predominantly Amazon. And we now have a beautiful 1,800 square foot location called Wizards of Ecom. And yeah, that's the answer.
I saw all your posts when you just opened it, your building and all the things. And my congratulations, because it's tough year in the case of the COVID and all the things. And you guys, you just provide and share this experience. Yeah, when you, I guess you somehow find the way how to grow correctly. And here is everything that you have answered already. You choose the strategy of like the blue ocean, that you do something the same, but on another way. You do have a long-term idea for another people, for Amazon sellers, for e-com sellers, doesn't matter. And I really like that. And I think that then after the COVID, you will get like more and more people involved. And I hope we will see the same community, your community, somewhere in Europe. Why not? I would be glad to have it closer to us,
Yeah, absolutely. Our group actually grew. We used to just be in person in South Florida, and I am blessed with the fact that South Florida has a very vibrant e-commerce community.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a melting pot of nationalities and everything. So that's a huge advantage. And what happened though is during COVID, I was fearful that I would lose everything, or we would lose everything we have in this community. We had to take it to Zoom for like 7 months. They were just Zoom based events. We still did 16 a month. And I say we because I have an amazing like leadership team and admins and, virtual employees and everything behind me, and my wife, who allows me to dedicate that much time behind me to make this happen. So when we went online, what happened was, we're not going to say, sorry, like prove to me you're from South Florida or you can't attend. Instead, we allowed everyone to join. So now we're already back in person. We have a mix of in-person and online events, and even our in-person events are live streamed so people can interact. It's a very unique setup, and it's obviously improving, but it's people are loving it. So our group grew. Our group became stronger. Our group thrived during COVID. I mean, I know e-commerce, a lot of people did well during e-commerce and during COVID, but we thrived with personally, spiritually, physically. Our businesses, like everything thrived because we had that close-knit community. And now that we're back, we max out our events that we're, the safe number that we're willing to accept currently as in-person events. We max them out. And I see that just continuing to grow. The goal is in 2 years, we're going to open up another one in another state. So we'll see.
I really hope that will be so. And I think that our audience will absolutely join and help you to do that. Because the main thing, how we could evaluate it, is the number of people that are interested in that and join your community. Could you please tell me maybe the main spice thing that you have inside your community? I mean, the main difference between you and other communities. Yeah, why people choose the Wizards of the e-com, just in your opinion?
Yeah, what I found is that one thing that, because there's people that are in these social media, I don't want to turn this into like I'm knocking somebody else's group. They're not. Like I attend those groups still, and those online events, but there is a huge difference between online and in person. And then there is a difference between a hybrid of the two. So what happens is, if you just have an online community, while it is powerful and not all of them are created equal, you do have, in the vast majority, unless it's like a high paid community like Trends. I'm part of Trends, and the Trends, it's a paid community. I think it's like $300 a year. It's highly engaged and there's a lot of people. But for the most part, you're going to have a lot of lurkers. You're going to have the 85, 90% of the people, they don't participate. So you have this blown up vanity number. And the only time you get a bunch of people to reply is if you put something out there like, I'm looking for a PPC person to help me, or I'm looking for a logistics person. And then you get a whole bunch of people that have never replied ever in the group, lurking, just waiting to pounce. And there's a place for that. But when you have an in-person event and you have an in-person community at its core, you have real relationships. You have real connections that are there. And people now in a hybrid model that are part of our online community and don't attend with us local, they get to feel that. They see that difference. They see the joking with each other. They see the picture that so-and-so posted when they tasted a bad piece of some dessert and everybody got a good laugh out of it. So that's one thing on the human level that is really, really different with our communities. Another one is that it's a lot, and I don't want to knock an online community, but it is much safer to be very transparent about what you sell and how you sell it and what you do in an in-person thing than online, really just exposed to the whole world. And who knows who the motives of some of those people that are watching. So those are two immediate things that are apparent. A final one, and I can't prove this with data, but I've just noticed a huge difference, is that it seems in-person events, or in-person at its core hybrid, seems to attract a much higher caliber of seller. A seller that's like, yeah, I'm not just going to post something in some random online community, but holy crap, there's an event right here, a couple blocks from me. Like, I'm totally going to go in there. And we've had some people walk in there and they're just sitting there during the beginner hour and someone asks a question and I can tell the way they answered it. I'm like, this is an experienced seller. Like, you wouldn't know to answer that unless that happens. And then when we do some introductions later, they're doing, $260 million a year in sales. And they've been doing e-commerce for 20 years. Yeah. So those are some of the secret sauces that I would say are part of our community.
That is great, because I know that you take a part for a lot of Amazon sellers as a friend, as a partner, as the mentor for some of them, and it's really great because you do have a chance to find the right people for them. Like in the case of the advice, you also do have an experience and understanding what exactly to do, and all these offline meetings is so you provide and give so much value for them, and that is really great. I really like, and what plans do you have, for example, for 2021? I mean, in the case of the offline events, maybe you have some goals to organize any conference or any of it.
Yeah, absolutely. 2021 is unique. We're in this odd transition. Our group has branched into a lot of cool events. So we have an annual event called onlinesellercruise.com. And every January, hopefully we can trick you on the cruise next year and as a speaker, but we have this event where we go as a bunch of sellers. It's depending on when you get your ticket, it's somewhere between $100 and $400 for a ticket. So nothing, no one's trying to get rich off this. The idea is the community and everything. So it's $100 to $400 for an event fee at onlinesellercruise.com. Well, we go. This January, we couldn't go. The cruises were allowed to go, but they were still waiting on CDC stuff. Plus, it may have been too risky. So we had to put off our January event. And our next one is 2022. Cabins are getting snatched up like crazy already. So one thing in 2021 is everybody getting, psyched up and ready for Online Seller Cruise 2022. Another thing we have is a China sourcing trip. So we go as a group every April and October, and we go sourcing in China. Again, that had to be postponed. It looks like our next one's going to be in April. I'd say one of the unique thing there for that event, though, is that it's put together by somebody on the leadership team of the group named Gabe Cosillo, who's a very experienced seller and who you've met in the presentations you've done. But we don't charge people for this, and we still bring the quality. So a person just pays for their hotel and their flight, and we don't charge them, some insane amount of money they could be spending on inventory. to just attend and share the knowledge we have. And as far as the other events, we're going to continue. We're still going to continue with our 16 events per month. We're also going to be, for our Amazon meetup group, we're going to continue that. And then on the Wizards of Ecom side, we're going to start adding, looks like 2 additional focuses, maybe 3. One of them is going to be Shopify. So we're going to begin adding some Shopify tracks in there. We're also going to be adding probably something along the lines of Facebook ads, just because that helps wherever you're at. And we may add something for Etsy. So those are going to be 3 new entirely other tracks that we're going to have multiple events per month held at the location and possibly stream. So growth, we're going to grow while maintaining quality is the goal for 2021.
Carlos, I don't know, do you understand that or not, but that is huge. That is really huge. And that is fantastic, I guess, because, for example, we do have a goal to organize a 2 conference in Ukraine and 1 in the US during the 2021. And I hope that we will have a chance to get to the US for organizing this conference. But still, it's a lot of work should be done. A lot of things should be created. And I really thank you for helping all these e-com sellers and audience, and of course your team, because everything that you do, it's incredible. And I really like that. I really like this approach and how the Amazon sellers could get in touch with you and to improve everything that they do. That is perfect. According to that, I have the last question for this topic. In a case of what is the main 3 advices for Amazon sellers you could give? It could be like the general one or about the networking. So it's up to you.
Sure. 3 pieces of advice. I can only base them off of my experiences, and everybody's is different. But I'll give you advice based on the major mistakes that I've made in my businesses, and I wish you would avoid. And I'll try to put them in the form of books as well, because I'm a huge reader, and I feel like if I just say some fancy line and you can't follow up on it, you may not be able to execute. So 1, like I said in the beginning, was business partners and choosing your partners, whether they're formal business partners, joint ventures, strategic partnerships, whatever the case may be. You should go out and form them, but you should do it correctly. And a book that I wish that I would have been, even if somebody smacked me upside the head and said, you need to sit down and read this, that I would read is The Founder's Dilemma. It's The Founder's Dilemma by Noah Wasserman. So that would be 1 bit of advice there before you do anything else. The other one is something that I didn't do a great deal in the beginning, but now I would say the wizard of it, and that's delegating in your business, and understanding what you should be doing and what you should not be doing in your business, even at the beginner stage. And again, another game-changing book for me there was when I sold my first business in the Amazon space. I blew a lot of money, and then I realized that if I kept going at the rate I was going in wasting money, I'd be broke again. So obviously, I didn't want to do that. So I went out and started another brand, and I also hired a coach, and this coach it was a lot of money, and now everything that he taught me, you can find it in a book that's like $10 on Amazon, and it's called Virtual Freedom. Virtual Freedom by Chris Ducker. It's really the foundation of how I build my virtual team and how I'm able to do so much personally and professionally. It's actually the backbone of the organization of my actual meetup group. The final one, really, to say in the spirit of this episode, and when it comes to networking, do it. Amazon does not have to be a very lonely place. There are a lot of people, whether it's my community or there are a lot of other great ones out there. Attend shows, find these communities, reach out to me, and I'll point you in the right direction. I have people that run Amazon communities all over the world that reach out and say, how do you do this? Do you mind if I jump on a call with you? And you could maybe show me what to do here so I can grow my community. So I have a lot of insights, and I learn a lot from these people that reach out as well. And I'd be, for free, I'd be more than happy to share that with you. 1 bit of advice about networking. And this kills me when people do it. because I used to do it. But be sincere. I know it's fluffy, but like, let's say Vitaly, that, I see you, I have an opportunity to see you and pick your brain at a conference, but you have a lot of other people vying for your attention. But I get what a lot of people do is when we meet, we exchange business cards, and you're like, hey, let me know if you need anything, Vitaly. And then we leave. I find that to be like the death of the relationship continuing. Instead of saying something like, at a networking event, at a conference, at a meetup, instead of saying like, hey, if you need anything, let me know. Like, how do you know what does that mean? You know what I mean? Like, what could you ask me? Instead, be sincere. What is something that you could totally help this person with? And then instead say, if you need anything here, I'd be more than happy to help you, or I'd be more than happy to make this connection for you. Just let me know. And that lets you clearly know what you could ask and how I can deliver on that so you can keep the relationship going.
I would be glad to know more about you personally, because you have answered one of my next questions as the books. You have named like 3 of them, and I really like them. I have noted, and we will add them into the description. But how do you like to spend your free time? I mean that not when you help Amazon sellers do the networking or organize any conferences or events. What is your main hobbies that you have?
Oh God. One of my main hobbies, I just kind of told on myself here, is reading. I love reading. I do read the vast majority as business and inspirational books, but I throw in the occasional epic fantasy novel that I really like to, keep myself creative. Outside of work as well. A lot of what I do is work. I mean, the podcast, which I'd love to have you on, which is Wizards of Ecom podcast, that, yes, it's tied to business, but it's really a passion project. So I have a blast with it. I love playing Scrabble. I love playing chess. I don't get to do enough of it, I feel. Really, outside of work, the number one, and even if I made a list of my goals in my life, my priorities, business and professional, I have a personal goal that trumps all of them right now. And that is, I have a 3-year-old son. I have my daughter's about 1 year and 4 months. And I have an amazing wife that I would not be able to have done everything that I've done to date. So having a 9-figure Amazon business, plus a lot of other businesses, plus 2 small kids, an amazing wife, and a meetup group, and all this other stuff I said, it takes a lot of time from my family. So I want to figure out, my priority is to figure out how to not take my foot off the gas professionally while also still being a rock star dad and a very present dad and a rock star husband. So that takes up a lot of my time and my focus outside of work. It's a priority of mine.
That is great. I really like your list of priorities that you have. And, I hope that everyone will have a chance to do the same, because I think that is like the main stalls that we would like to have in our life, and to share our focus for that. That is really amazing. And we have a like 2021, and maybe you have catch some trends that you see on Amazon, maybe on e-com generally. What trends you think will be next?
Yeah, I think we're still in the very early stages of Amazon Live Video. It's something that a lot of people have not adopted, and I highly suggest they do. I mean, they rolled out the follow button. It looks like they're gradually investing a lot more into that. Something that I thought would be more advanced, but it's something that I don't think people should ignore, is voice technology. With Amazon, especially Amazon Alexa, or Amazon Alexa, just the Alexa. And there's flash briefings that I'm toying with, plus custom skills and stuff like that, and figuring out ways to tie it back into Amazon or just monetize as standalone skills. So that's something that I think is super important. The posts, which seem like they're about to leave it's been the longest beta in the world, but the Amazon Posts program, I see Amazon really paying a ton of attention into that, as far as like something similar akin to like their form of social media. I think that's something that everyone should pay attention to. Obviously ads. I mean, Amazon rolls out a new ad targeting type or an ad type, which I imagine there's going to be a voice one soon. Just adopt it, get into it, start doing it. It takes so long for most people to get into it, and you just do amazing otherwise. And the other trend, just business wise, that I'm thinking about throwing my hat into the ring on is email, monetized email. You have like the majority of the world saying email is dead. And on the other hand, if you look at trends in the world, and it's quality email is not dead. So having a quality curated email newsletter like Marketing Brew or Snackable or Trends, I think that's a really, really powerful trend that is upon us, and there's still time to get in.
I think that we still check our emails, and that's why the powerful emails will absolutely work. I absolutely agree with you, and I really like your trends. And I guess the last question for today, who should be the next guest for the Dr. Amazon podcast?
God, I have so many like rock stars that I'm blessed to be friends with in the group. Can I give you 3?
Of course. I would appreciate it.
Yeah, I would say Alexei Leal, who's part of my community. And I'd recommend my whole community because they're awesome. But these are 3 people that I feel like to qualify for Dr. Amazon, like Alexis Leal, just amazing insights, especially on mindset, Mercado Libre, exiting Amazon businesses. He's just a jack of all trades. Another one would be actually my co-host on the Wizards of Ecom podcast, which is Noemi Bolojang, a powerful woman. I totally see her surpassing anything I've ever accomplished to date, just at the trajectory she's on. Amazing success on a ridiculously competitive product. First go into it. So I would recommend her. And I'd finally recommend the person I mentioned earlier, which is Gabe Cosillo. Over 20 years. I jokingly say he's been selling on e-commerce since before the internet. Like, this is a genius when it comes to e-commerce. And he's got I've never seen a more in-depth breakdown of the buy box than I have from Gabe Cosillo, which sounds like a simple topic on its face, but there's a great deal to it. And those are the 3 I'd recommend.
That is amazing. And I think that we will have a chance to contact all of them and invite to Dr. Amazon podcast. So thank you for sharing. And once again, thank you, Carlos, for sharing all these advices, for sharing your story and the community experience that you have. I'm really waiting till we will have a chance to see your community somewhere in Europe, also to be a part of your events or podcast. That is a pleasure for us. So thanks again. And that was the amazing episode.
Thank you.
And that is all for today's Dr. Amazon episode. Do not miss our future arrivals with the new hot topics. Press the like button, leave us a comment below, and don't forget to subscribe. We will come back to you shortly.